Thank you, and thanks everyone for joining us. It's probably been a very long day for you all, so thank you. American West Metals, so I'll just point to a few pictures as we go through. So the important things to note in some of these pictures, we're copper, predominantly copper now. We do have other base metal assets as well, but our focus is on copper, our focus is on Storm, and given the copper run lately, you can see why. But look, this is what our traditional mineralisation looks like. Chalcocite and this in particular case is chalcopyrite, but very coarse grained and very high grade, and I'll talk to that. Like Chrissy mentioned, we do have two other assets other than Storm, and look, we're in Utah and Canada. The two, West Desert is large zinc, indium, copper and silver skarn in Utah, very close to Bingham Canyon. It's also the USA's only deposit of indium. They import 100% of their indium from China, Bolivia, Sweden and Canada, I think. So it's very important from a strategic and critical metals base, but I won't talk about that too much. Come and see us afterwards for more details on that. And Copper Warriors, also copper, sediment-hosted copper, 15 k's from the second largest copper mine in Utah, Lisbon Valley. So that's a very important project for us today, but we're obviously focused on Storm given the growth potential and the exciting news here. We put out our maiden resource this year. We've just begun exploration, drilling and geophysical activities, and we put out some news on that this morning. I won't touch on this. All I can say is I was going to actually erase and just put $10,000 a tonne, becoming a precious metal, but copper's certainly sought after. But I will make one point about this slide is that the need for going into new jurisdictions and some of our new neighbours in Nunavut, which I'll talk to, just show that some of the majors are really investing in these new jurisdictions, etc. Again, this picture speaks 1,000 words, and I don't have time for 1,000 words, so I'll talk to the picture. But look, we are far north Canada, but there's a few key things to point out here is that this is essentially a fly-in, fly-out operation. So as Australians, particularly West Australians, we get how that works. Very easy to access. We have a camp that's 24/7, and we just fly in and turn it on at the start of the season. The other thing to note here is the vegetation or lack of it. There's not a tree, there's not a blade of grass. It's very benign from an environmental standpoint and point of view. And the other thing here is the fantastic relationship we have with the local community here. So this is members of the Resolute Hamlet community who visited us last summer. Actually, I won't go back, but one of those team members actually worked at the Polaris mine that was up in this part of the world. So very deep mining history here, which talks to this slide. So we're not alone up in that part of the world. There's 8 active mines in Northwest Territory and none of it at the moment. The key things to point out here is that a lot of the mines down the gold and the diamond mines, they're very inland, and so they fly their product in and out, obviously. We're located in a historical mining district. The historical Polaris and Nanisivik mines operated for over 20 years. Polaris is one of Teck Cominco's most profitable mines during its day. They essentially did a DSO zinc and lead concentrate. This is on the Northwest Passage, which is essentially the Arctic Highway. This is ice-free in summer. We're on a deep water port. You can see the photo of one of the ships in the background there in the Northwest Passage. And ships are used to supply this whole region. So things don't come in on planes, smaller things do, but all the equipment, all the mining equipment, etc., comes in on ships and concentrate leaves. So ships come in and resupply the area, but they always leave empty, and so that's a really good backloading opportunity for us to send copper concentrate out on these empty ships. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention here, which I talked to before, is that there's a bit of a boom here, and particularly in M&A and land acquisition, and we've got some new neighbours, BHP Billiton, which are just to the north of us, about 700 kilometres. So you think we're far north, they're even further, but having worked for BHP, I can tell you 2 things, is that they won't go into the area unless they believe there's potential for a giant resource. So this is elephant country. And the other thing is they won't go there if they can't get the product to market. So they strongly believe that this is a jurisdiction that they're very comfortable in investing in. So Storm, what do we have there at the moment? So the maiden resource defined almost 18 million tonnes at 1.2% copper. So the key thing with this is in 4 deposits. This is a sedimentary hosted copper deposit, which is an important distinction. These generally range globally in the 1 to 3% copper range. 100% of our resource is open pittable, and 100% of it is sulphide, so copper sulphide. The other thing to note is that the growth potential here is that there's a lot of holes that are not part of the main resource here that I'll talk to in a second, which we're hoping to upgrade and bring into the resource this year. This is one of the bigger deposits. You can see it's generally flat-lying, very amenable to open pit mining, like I was saying. And the two distinct colours here just really point out the two distinct grade ranges here. So we have a significant portion of the resource, over 60% is plus 1.5% copper, and then some lower grade material making up the bulk of this. But this pit was done on economics based on $3.75 copper price. Today it's $4.60. So you can see here that even at those subdued prices, that this is highly economic. You can see also here that it's open. Some of these drill holes on the edge here just indicate the kind of thicknesses and grades we're seeing on the margin. You can see some of those flat lines there where the ore body's cut off due to lack of data. And that's just exactly what we see. This is a map that highlights sort of the growth potential that we see, and certainly the information we put out this morning validates that information. So yellow and red dotted lines are where we have geophysical anomalies that we believe are strongly related to copper sulfide. Every electromagnetic anomaly that we've drilled to date has turned out to be a high-grade copper sulfide, so that's plus 2% in this case. And the information we put out this morning, the preliminary electromagnetic results, which need further modelling, but it's being done as we speak, points that the Thunder discovery that we made last year and the Lightning Ridge discovery probably extend over 1 kilometre to the west towards the Gap prospect there. So we've got over 10 kilometres of strike of these faults in the area, and most of them are undrilled, so massive upside potential. But that's the tip of the iceberg. Storm represents only about 5% of this belt, and so we have over 100 kilometres of strike of prospective copper horizon. We have the Tempest prospect last year, which we identified a zinc and copper gossan that's over 4 kilometres long, completely undrilled. We'll get the rig and the EM down there this year. And we've also got tornado and blizzard areas which have copper sticking out of the ground, EM anomalies existing, and that's 10 kilometres down the road, identical geology to Storm. So we're very bullish on the exploration potential here. This is not a short-term thing. This is 10 to 20 years exploration life. But look, we're focused on getting a stage 1 mine up and running, and then obviously using that to explore the rest of the belt for the next 10 to 20 years. Now, we own 80% of Storm, I must point it out, and our joint venture partner, Aston Bay Holdings, Canadian company, own the other 20%. But we essentially, as a joint venture, own 100% of this project, which is 2,000 square kilometres. That's a bit of the model. I'll skip over that, but just going back to it, this is said hosted copper. So, for people to make analogies, the closest analogies would be Botswana. So thinking of mod resources, Sandfire, Mateo deposit is a good example. It's lower grade, but has higher silver than us. There's the Kamoa coolers, obviously, this one end of the spectrum being the super giant deposits. DRC, Cooper-Schiefer in Europe. So these are very usually occur in clusters, usually occur as big mining camps, and that's why we believe we're just on the edge of this. We actually drilled 4 deep holes last year, and while none hit economic thicknesses of mineralisation at that depth, all 4 holes hit copper sulfide at approximately 300 metres depth. So we believe that the cyclone deposit repeats at depth. One of those actually hit 2.7% copper at depth. So as a reminder, Kamoa, I think one of the original drilling intersections was 3 metres at 1.7% copper, and that obviously led on to be a significant deposit. So more work to do on that. But this is the unicorn of copper, and this is what we're really driven towards for us, and what we believe is going to be a significant step change for the project, and also for American West Metals. And that is, we've found that given the coarse nature of the mineralisation, it's dominantly chalcocite, so 80% copper, that we can simple beneficiation, crushing and screening, very similar to iron ore, very similar to lithium. So taking lithium from a 1.5% to a 6%, we've found that we can actually get this a DSO type copper product that we can ship directly out. So what that means is very high ESG credentials. There's no tailings dam, there's no reagents, very low footprint, essentially a rock quarry, essentially like building a road base, and we can get that to market. So we're working on that information now. There's various types of beneficiation and work. There's ore sorting, and then there's jigging, and wet screening and DMS, etc. So working through a range of those to really optimise the grade that we want to send out, and also the throughput and also the mining schedules there. So this is the holy grail for us. This will, very minimum capital requirements here and very high margin, so that's why we're driving towards this. We have floated this material as well, and it makes a 42% copper concentrate, but look, we're purely focused on this at the moment. So what's the rest of the year look like? Like I mentioned, we've started drilling, we've started the geophysics. So if anyone knows us, we put news out every couple of weeks in the season. There's lots of data to get through. We've got an extra drill rig on site this year, so we're going to have 4 rigs on site, 2 diamond rigs and 2 RC rigs. One of those is a tracked RC rig, which is the one that's on site at the moment. That's certainly going to accelerate the production here and the amount we can do. But 2 clear things it's very key to point out is we've got the resource expansion, so building on that 17.5 million tonnes. We believe they can go way north of that, obviously. And then there's the exploration phase. So we do have a large retail base in our stare, so we also want to get the sugar hits and the exploration success and show that this will grow to being a much broader project and a camp scale opportunity. So 2 clear things. Project development as well in the background. So what we don't talk about a lot, but we've begun the mining studies, begun the economic studies, and we're very advanced with the environmental work. So that's going to really front-end load the permitting for us. We want to make sure we permit the right project. We could have done a PEA based on the existing mine, which is the 200,000 tonnes of copper. But we said, why? This thing, if we can hopefully double this thing in the next year or 2, then that's the project that we want to permit. We want to make sure we get it right from day one. We don't want to be going back to the beginning and re-permitting things and starting the clock again. So very advanced in the economics, very advanced in the environmental work, the community liaison, and line of sight to getting those permits underway. So hopefully all that results in a fairly transformational change for us as a company, and targeting copper to resource multiples, obviously, and creating a catalyst for a company re-rating. So on that, I think they just summarised that there, and happy to go early. Yeah, thank you.